I tried to help my boyfriend when his car broke down, but despite my experience fixing cars, he insulted me and refused to listen, so I abandoned him at the side of the road. I, 26 feet, and my boyfriend Nick, 27 meters, have been dating for almost a year, and something that has always bothered me is how Nick does not believe in maintaining or taking care of his vehicles. To give some context, Nick bought his car brand new about 5 years ago and has put about 70,000 miles on the vehicle. Since purchasing the vehicle, he has never had an oil change, nor does he do any kind of regular maintenance. I want to clarify that Nick's refusal to maintain his vehicle is not due to financial insecurity. Nick has an incredible job that pays him very well. As a hobby and side job, I enjoy restoring vehicles for a profit. I am by no means a mechanic, but I mostly clean up the vehicles, do bodywork, and focus on paint restoration. However, I do have a pretty fundamental understanding of cars, and I know how to handle the basics. Anyway, Nick called me yesterday on my day off and told me he was about 10 minutes from my house, that he had a flat tire, and asked if I could come to help him out. I grabbed my tool bag and headed out. When I arrived, I discovered that Nick didn't just have a flat tire, his front left rotor was cracked, the rotor is part of the car's braking system, and his rim was bent beyond repair. I told Nick that his car was undrivable and that he needed to call a tow truck. Nick started arguing with me, insisting that it was just a flat tire and not a big deal. I tried to show Nick how severe the damage was, but he kept insisting that I was overreacting and that all he needed was for me to change the tire. I refused, and in Nick's words, I started mothering him about how poorly he takes care of his car. The argument escalated, and Nick lashed out, saying things like, "Just because you have a set of pink tools and watch YouTube doesn't make you a bloody mechanic." After hearing that, I began packing up my tools and told him he was right. I'm not a mechanic, but he should probably call one because I wasn't going to change his tire. I left Nick on the side of the road, and now he refuses to speak to me until I apologize for abandoning him. Did I go too far? Relevant comments. Comment 1. So to summarize, your boyfriend asked for your help. You offered help, informed him of the seriousness of the problem, but he didn't like your answer. He then told you what to do, even though you know better. This led to a heated argument where your boyfriend was extremely offensive. You rightly left him. I'll be blunt, your boyfriend seriously sucks. Blowing up over this is a big red flag. You're not in the wrong. Good luck with your car hobby, though. It sounds awesome. Do you ever get your hands on classics? Response: I wish. I mostly buy and work on cars that are under $10,000 and try to sell them for a 20 to 30% profit. Subaru, old Fords, and classic Chevys have a special place in my heart, though. Comment 2. Yikes. If he won't maintain a high-end purchase like his car, how does he treat his home? He made fun of your car knowledge, yelled at you for making an accurate statement about his broken car, and demanded an apology. You don't know him. Is this how he normally responds in stressful situations? Response: I'm going to answer your question with way more detail than you asked for. I was raised by a single mom, and I never had a father figure growing up. When something would break in our house, I taught myself how to fix it, and my mother always encouraged me to pursue my mechanical skills. When I met Nick's parents, his father and I really bonded over our love for cars and fixing them. Whenever I visited Nick's parents' house, his dad and I would inevitably end up in the garage tinkering. Nick has always been insecure about how quickly his father and I developed a relationship. He's not very mechanically inclined and has never shown interest in cars. The relationship I have with Nick's father has been a sore spot in our relationship for a long time, and I think it's why Nick lashed out the other day. Update. Thank you so much to everyone who commented on my original post. I spent a few days reading all of your comments and taking some time to self-reflect. Vehicle update. Nick drives a Nissan Versa. After I left him on the side of the road, he ended up calling a tow truck mobile mechanic. When the actual mechanic arrived, he confirmed everything I had told Nick. The mechanic also refused to change the tire and told him he would only tow the car to a shop. Nick hasn't told me all the details of the damage, but it must have been bad because instead of repairing the Nissan and wasting the money, he decided to just buy a new car. Relationship update. Earlier today, I invited Nick over for dinner. I spent the whole day cooking and baking his favorite dishes: braised oxtail soup, drunken potatoes, and tiramisu for dessert. When Nick arrived, he was in a wonderful mood and seemed to have forgotten or forgiven the argument we had. After some small talk and finishing dinner, I took a deep breath and began explaining how much I care about him but that I no longer wish to continue our relationship romantically or otherwise. At first, Nick was shocked, but his shock quickly turned to anger. He felt I was insane for ending our relationship over such a petty, unimportant argument. Eventually, Nick tried to apologize, but I told him that an apology was no longer what I was looking for. I listened to everything Nick had to say. When he finished, I reminded him of some of the wonderful times we had together. I told him we're both adults and can choose to either end a 1-year relationship with arguing and anger or end things on good terms after a lovely last meal. Nick calmed down after this, and his tone softened to match mine. We didn't talk much longer, but I had planned ahead and wrapped up some tiramisu for him, along with a small bin of his belongings that he'd kept at my house. Before Nick left, I gave him a big hug and jokingly told him that if he ever needed someone to show him how to change a tire, I'd be happy to send him a YouTube tutorial. Life update. Over the past few days, I decided to treat myself and bought my neighbor's old 1978 Ford Ranger Red. The truck is an absolute hunk of junk and will probably take me over a year to make it somewhat recognizable. But I figured it would be more time and cost-effective to obsess over an old, broken truck than to fixate on broken men. I plan to stay single for a while, focus on taking better care of myself, and spend more time with my 3 German shepherds. Thanks for the help.